we're pretty sure that we are the most innovative technology, at least now in the space. When you want to deploy your application, it's like going from point A to point B. And you don't want to construct a car, you just want to rent it or you just take a taxi.
Sure, yeah.
So a lot of people, what's trying to do is let's build from scratch, or use Substrate to build our own blockchain and then do the application. And the question is why to do it? If you can have a simple, reliable mechanism on which you can just put a piece of code and then it works.
Welcome to the Alpha Podcast, brought to you by Neverland Labs and hosted by me, Justin, here in Buenos Aires. We're at the Polkadot Decoded Confrence in Buenos Aires. This is a special edition. These episodes are unique because I'm co-hosting them with Jay, who has his own podcast, and we're kind of working together where we're co-interviewing people and switching things up. There'll be a version on his channel and there'll be a version on this channel, so make sure to check out both versions, and we already know mine is going to be better. I want to remind you that everything you're about to hear is not financial advice, nor do we endorse any of the projects or guests on the show. It is simply meant for educational purposes, and sometimes we're learning about these people or projects in real time. While this is brought to you by Neverland Labs, the opinions expressed are of mine, the guests, and also Jay's. I want to give a huge shout out to Polka House, who brought us out here to make this happen. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this series, and let's tap into the episode.
I'm in charge of practically everything related to the ecosystem. So we're talking about PR, marketing, promotions, events, the templates that they're building for the developers that will come to work with us, the academy that actually we're starting now for all the developers so that people can make the next step. It was like an evolution from one project that we had before. We are running different workshops all over the world in different universities for students, in which we are showing them around in 2 hours how they can easily code their first smart contracts with us. So it's 30 minutes theory about blockchain, Polkadot, why we use it and stuff like that. And then around an hour and a half of coding, where they actually code the decentralized Twitter, where we have a smart contract that's built by us, a router one, another one that they build by themselves, it's their channel, and then actually this makes the communication between two smart contracts without the user intermediate and stuff like that. We started doing that, and we get a lot of interesting response from people, and they were saying, what's else? Okay, we passed that, where we can learn more about that. And we understood that there is this big gap of information, even that we actually generated a lot of templates where you can just switch in 2 or 3 things. For example, if you want to make your own token, the analogy of ERC20, we have it easily. And people from ZenLink, for example, that they integrate with us, they just took our ERC20 example, add some things, and they have it there already. So we have a lot of things like that, like the DAO, for example. We just shooted a video in which a person from zero in 9 minutes actually deploys his own DAO, voting process with the front end and all the stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so the evolution started at the moment that we started doing that, and then we generated now the course of so it will take between 2 to a month, between 2 weeks to a month, in which a person will have step-by-step guidance on how they can start building based on these templates, smart contracts on us. And this is something that we think could be the next step for the universities and for the people that wants to learn something from this space.
Okay, so just to be clear here, you're not teaching people to build on Solidity. You're teaching them to build with on top of Wasm?
Yeah, actually, all the smart contracts on us is Rust-based smart contracts.
Right.
We don't use Solidity. We don't use EVM. The virtual machine of Gear is Wasm.
Yeah.
WebAssembly virtual machine. And actually, and we are also using something unique that the ecosystem doesn't have, is the actor model, which allows us, Gear is built on 3 pillars, let's put it like that. We have the actor model, we have the Wasm, and we have the persistent memory. The actor model allows us to make parallel computing, because actually, it doesn't matter what's happening inside the network. Is it a smart contract? Is it a user? Is it a breach? Everything becomes an actor. And the actors, they just move messages between themselves. So this allows us to make the option when the programs are communicating between themselves, they communicate through messages. And when it's done by messages, you can actually parallel the information. You don't need to do it in sequential way. If the information doesn't need to be the same moment. Yeah. Plus, we also have obviously the Wasm that allows us to run much faster than the Ethereum virtual machine. But we are now building on Rust because it's the most common language to build, and it's the fastest language actually to build, and it's the most secure language to build. later on we will open the option to be compatible with any language or that is compatible to Wasm. But then in a certain moment you will still be losing some of the security of Rust that is doing. Why we did it? Because obviously Nikolai, the founder and CEO of our company, was one of the first developers of Parity, and actually he was an advocate of Wasm there and of Rust. So that obviously moved automatically into our project when he started it. And yes, we also added the persistent memory there that gives us the option to, like, first of all, you can actually upload just the pages that you need and not all the information that's needed there. And then you can just switch it up and put them home.
I've heard that the language of Rust is more difficult to learn. Is that true?
Actually not.
Really?
Yeah, and especially if we talk about in the presentation I had one slide that says that there's around 18,000 developers monthly committing something on the blockchain, and there is 2.2 million committing on Rust, and there is another huge amount of millions working on any other language compatible to Rust. The point is that and the next interesting thing is that we're talking about smart contracts, is we built a lot of templates and bibliotheques that actually allows you to write even in a more simple way. For example, for all the synchronous messages and stuff like that, we just use handle or handle reply, or you need to send the information. You can have the basic knowledge of C++, check a little bit some additional syntaxes of Rust, and you can already be writing it. A lot of people on the students on the universities where we go, they don't know Rust, but they know C++, and they do it quite easy because the logic is similar.
Sure. How did you get into Web3? Like, are you a developer? Or?
No, I'm not a developer. Actually, it's quite an interesting story. I finished my university as an engineer, but then I mainly moved to business development. I was working more in the financial and fintech space. One of the big companies which I was working for was eToro. It's one of the biggest social trading networks. And actually, the curiosity is where I actually get introduced to blockchain, because they put the option to trading Bitcoin between the 2015, when nobody else of the electronic trading platforms had it, actually, except the crypto exchanges. And the Yoni, the owner and founder of this company, eToro, was actually founder of blockchain long ago. And he was sponsoring at that time, the protocol called Color Coins that allowed to put assets on top of the blockchain ecosystem. And this protocol, the white paper of this protocol, was actually written by Vitaly Buterin, and Yoni was paying him some money for that. And he even stayed a little bit on the office of eToro. And we actually remember that once we had a meeting with Vitaly and Yoni on the San Petersburg Economic Forum 3 or 4 years ago. And they discussed that, because then they split it. Vitalik said that he sees a lot of difficulties to write something that they want to do it on top of Bitcoin. So he decided to go and write his own blockchain. And the rest of the team keep on working on that project. And actually now it's called Kodu. It's live. They had the option to put it on the Bitcoin and the Ethereum protocol. And it's like they're having a project in the UK. But this was like my introduction into fintech and web and actually the blockchain space. After that, I actually moved to another blockchain project already fully there. It was called Tokenbox. It was the tokenization of funds on the blockchain. And then after that, I started more and more being involved on the Web3 idea and all the stuff after the winter and things like that. I consult in different projects, and then I actually met Nikolai and Alexander, his co-founder, and they said why you don't help us with all this? And the idea was that I have to start helping them with the Spanish community, but step by step it evolved to let's do the web page, then let's do something else, let's start our Twitter, then let's build other campaigns, information about the company before we start building the whole community. And then at a certain moment I'm just doing everything related with the ecosystem that doesn't have to be related with the development of the core product that actually this is oversees by Nikolai fully. All the code of the backend of the project of the core team is there.
Man, what a journey. And I've heard, for the last year and a bit that Wasm is really the next step in blockchain. But something I learned here recently at this conference was that Wasm actually has this problem where it's slower than smart contracts, it kind of has this like sluggish problem. Wait, first of all, is that an accurate statement?
Not actually. If we look about the virtual machines,
Yeah.
Wasm is much more faster and better to work on than actually Solidity, the Ethereum virtual machine that was built. And even Vitalik, I think 4 months ago, put a tweet in which he said that if he would be rebuilding Ethereum from scratch,
Yeah.
he will not be building his own virtual machine. He actually will be using Wasm.
Okay.
It's really good for compatible code and stuff like that. The point is, sometimes what's happening is that people trying to put the Ethereum virtual machine into the Wasm virtual machine, and then they can start having some problems because
Oh,
they're
okay.
bringing the legacy of one thing into another.
Right. Okay.
If you want to write fast, you can. This is the point that when Ethereum was built, they had to invent a new language that could be compatible with them. So Solidity was built and was designed and stuff like that. And actually, it was designed by Gavin Wood. And when he comes to build Polkadot, why didn't he use the same thing he invented before? Just because he understood that there is new technology, that it's much more suitable for the blockchain solutions, and that actually you can write in a language that would be more secure and would lose less memory and less legacy with them, libraries and stuff like that.
Well, I've been hearing like ink is what we hear about mostly with Wasm in Polkadot. You guys are not using ink?
No, we're not using ink.
Okay.
Ink is a palette that was developed by Parity. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So you can write smart contracts on Wasm directly. But when Nikolai, I think he already like in November, one year and a half ago, when he left Parity,
Yeah.
he decided to bring something new to the space. So I understand that I'm not against that. So we have, for example, Mubin using the palette in order to use the Ethereum palette in order to build their own ecosystem and stuff like that. But he decided to say, okay, let's do something that was not really done before. So we took something that is useful a lot in the Web 2 space, if we can call it like that. That's actually the actor model. It's used a lot in in parallel computing, high load parallel computing. So we said, okay, if that's used there, why not to bring into the blockchain space so we can parallelize the things? Then we too can say, okay, obviously we'll do it on Wasm because it's the most compatible for that. And actually Wasm and the actor model is about like how you can communicate between programs inside the blockchain. And then we found that if we add something new that's called persistent memory, we can also do something that while mapping these programs, we can practically take out some complexity and put it like in primitive operating systems. So we can try to use the option of changing memory states and the amount of memory that each program needs to that. So that could be faster to upload, to download and stuff like that. Even that Wasm doesn't support that, through our async syscalls, we can do that. And then we built a library on top of that. So actually you can just use it and you don't have to think about how that should be programmed. But if you want to go deep, you can actually go deep and start to write your own syscalls and stuff like that.
So this is a more efficient application of Wasm technology, and you're doing an education behind it as well to get more developers using it. I think that's one of the largest barriers we've been facing to Wasm adoption. And you guys are going for parachain.
Yes.
Okay, what can you tell us about that?
Okay, we're pretty sure that we are the most innovative technology, at least now in the space, from the point of view of smart contracts.
Yeah.
Plus, we're trying to make it like easy, simple, and working forever, like Gear is. So the whole idea is like we want to be like a mechanism that will be easy and simple for any person to deploy the app. It's a point like when you want to deploy your application, it's like going from point A to point B. And you don't want to construct a car, you just want to rent it or you just take a taxi.
Sure, yeah.
So a lot of people, what's trying to do is let's build from scratch, or use Substrate to build our own blockchain and then do the application. And the question is why to do it? If you can have a simple, reliable mechanism on which you can just put a piece of code and then it works. And then it gives you obviously we're going for the parachain because that will give you also the access to the whole entire ecosystem which you can work and communicate. So you're not just stated on one blockchain. like us, for example, yes, we are pretty sure, like we're finalizing now our external audit, and we are pretty sure that we could be one of the best layer ones solutions in the market, our standalone network, with utility practically, with the speed practically like Solana, and the utility, but the consensus for sure like Near has or any other proof of stake has. Because Solana has its own speed and it's good, but the problem is that it's quite centralized, plus problems with the consensus, plus the storage of data, bags, and all the stuff. So we don't want to go that way.
Do you see a multi-chain world?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, we think that the whole concept, and this is the beauty of Polkadot, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because if we see now standalone networks, it's like in the previous times the Ethernet. Yeah, that is here, it's local net here, local net here.
Yeah.
And then the internet came and actually he joined all the small networks into
Right.
one big network.
Right.
So we think that Polkadot is this internet that can actually communicate all layer ones together. And the beauty becomes when actually you can send information or can use one network and another at the same moment using the same programs and stuff like that.
Do you think that the different parachains are going to thrive when they have very specific niches that they are trying to solve for, or like this particular one is focused on gaming, this particular one is focused on DeFi or particular applications, or do you think that it's just going to be wherever people build wherever they want to go, or what do you see?
I think that actually what we will have is like 3 to 4 specific, let's say like smart contract agents. Like you have Moonbeam, if you have a Solidity program, it's easy. You just put it there and you run it to this ecosystem. It's really a smart move from one point of view.
Yeah.
You have the Akala that, for example, is more for DeFi stuff. We are bringing, and we're trying to bring, that's also we're saying, we don't want to prioritize on the same developers that's in the same space. We want to bring the huge amount of people that's outside and they want to come here, but they don't know exactly how to do it. They don't want to learn new languages or stuff like that. Just come and do it. So we bring new fresh blood to here. But I think that later on some niche ideas would be really good, because when you can focus on something and you can build, I don't know, like Remark is doing, blockchain for the NFTs and all the NFT infrastructure around and all the stuff. So yes, we also have an example of NFT marketplace where you can actually upload it in 10 minutes, so from scratch, and you have the NFT marketplace, the bidding and all the stuff. But obviously, if you have other things around, it would be sometimes easier to use it on the Remark, for example, to build it on Remark, and then to use, I don't know, another program that would just be link it on us and they will be linked together.
Right.
So it's more about how efficiently you can make the tooling around. And obviously we can understand that if a program or a parachain is dedicated just to this, he will have more tooling about that than we, as we're more general solution. Before we will launch a testnet, a stable testnet, we're actually now working with a lot of integrations so that once we launch at the same moment, you will have all the applications needed around. So we talk with oracles, we have their wallets, we're talking with like a scroll account, like a lot of different things, social tokens, so it's there. And yes, it's general corpus thing, but when you have niches, I think they could do something really good.
You mentioned bringing new blood into the space. Are you speaking on new developers, builders, or users?
Well, actually, first of all, we're a tool for developers, like less for users.
Yeah.
So we're talking more about developers in the first case. The users will come once we'll have new applications and user-friendly interfaces and stuff like that, because still, unfortunately, the blockchain space is struggling with a good UX UI. So it's still there. It's still a milestone to work on, and I think that this winter time can help us actually to improve these things so that the people could have the seamless same user experiences they now used to have in their normal space.
So for any listeners in our audiences, where can they go to learn more about your project and also get connected to this education you're providing?
First of all, the fastest way to do it is on our Twitter.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know how it's called, the symbol.
Underscore.
Underscore tech. Then actually our webpage, that's geartech.io. They have a lot of information there, and from the webpage you'll have the wiki. We have a lot of different examples. Plus, additional to that, The academy is not live yet. It's a pilot test that we're doing with the Technical University of Istanbul and another technical university there. But we mostly sure will make it public or soft launch in a month. And then it would be already official, I think, in 2 months, just because we want to make step by step.
Wicked.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Sounds like there's a party starting out there. So
Yeah, thanks, dude.
thank you
guys.
so much.
It was a pleasure.
Awesome.